Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. May 26, 2019, the Sunday Book Review Edition. Today, we take a look at books around the theme of Memorial Day, as it is Memorial Day's weekend. We begin with Rise and Fall, the story of 9/11, by Mitchell Zuckoff. He was a reporter for the Boston Globe, and he wrote about the attacks, the victims, and their families, and the voices of the lost and those of the saved. It's something that every American needs to remember. We shouldn't forget this day because of the casualties of civilians as opposed to those in the military. Next, a new biography of Oliver Wendell Holmes by Stephen Budiansky. Holmes twice escaped death as a young Union officer in the Civil War when musket balls barely missed his heart and spinal cord by a fraction of an inch. He was also, these were in the battles of Ball's Bluff and Antietam. He also was wounded in the Battle of Gettysburg, where he was shot in the heel. Named to the Supreme Court at age 61 by Theodore Roosevelt, he served for nearly 3 decades, writing a series of famous, eloquent, and often dissenting opinions that would prophetic in securing freedom of speech, protecting the rights of criminal defendants, and ending the court's reactionary resistance to economic and social reforms. Holmes was also a professor, law professor, and teacher, and well known in the United States. Next is Brothers Down by Walter Borneman. This is a deeply personal and never before told account of the attack on Pearl Harbor. The surprise attack was one of the most traumatic events in American history. However, it turned out that there were many family members serving together, which was not only an accepted but an encouraged practice. 63 of the Arizona's 1,100 plus dead turned out to be brothers. In this book, Borneman returns us to that event with its unforgettable sacrifice and heroism told through the eyes of many of the brothers. And he draws a treasure trove of unpublished material to bring to life the minor decisions that became matters literally of life and death. And finally, we end with a book by Senator Tom Cotton called Sacred Duty, A Soldier's Tour at the Arlington National Cemetery. In this book, Senator Cotton takes an extraordinary journey behind the scenes at the Arlington National Cemetery and offers an intimate and inspiring portrait of the Old Guard, the revered U.S. Army unit whose mission is to honor our country's fallen heroes on its most hallowed ground. Cotton was an infantry platoon leader in the U.S. Army, and the Old Guard has embodied ideals of honor and sacrifice. It is the oldest serving active duty regiment dating back to 1784. The Old Guard conducts daily military honor funerals on the grounds of Arlington. In researching this book, Cotton returned to Arlington and shadowed the regiment's soldiers as they went through their daily duties. It's certainly a good way for you to think about Memorial Day and think about what it means for this country, for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So while you are listening to this podcast, perhaps at the end, you will consider the sacrifice people made. There may be people in your family who made such sacrifices, and I hope you would think of them on this most important day of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for America and to keep America safe. Join me again tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Compliance News. Finally, I'm extraordinarily pleased to announce a new show which will premiere on the Compliance Podcast Network in the month of June. It will be Trekking Through Compliance, compliance lessons from the original series of Star Trek. I'm going to do the entire TOS oeuvre over the next 79 days. I hope you will check in. It will be a short 5-minute podcast each day with compliance lessons from each episode. It will be a ton of fun.